You guys were with the 9 steps of estimation that we're going to be going over. 9 steps of estimation. Um, in page 39 of this book, they always list the 9 steps of estimating. This book, guys, is taking these 9 steps, slicing it down deeper and deeper as we go through the book. So I'm going to read the 9 steps of estimating from page 39. Step number 1, therein, my friend, we said understanding the scope of work, the scope of work or the scope of the bid by understanding the specification and the blueprints, what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. Step number 2, you guys have done it with me, both of them, takeoff. You did the takeoff for residential. You did the commercial, most of it, and you're going to do the industrial. That's step number 2. Step number 3, determine the bill of material. We did it with an Excel sheet that sucks, as well as with Mike McCormick, which is not bad. McCormick, you're going to see the bill of material, guys, when you print your stuff. Bill of material will be directly uh, related to what you have taken off. That's step number 3. Step number 4, pricing and laboring, assigning the price and the labor to the material that you guys have taken, and we have done that one. Step number 5, extending and totaling, which is basically doing the math, and you gentlemen have done the math with an Excel sheet, and the software that I gave you, McCormick, as well as Accubid, will be doing all the math, extending and totaling for you. So up to step number 5, guys. Then we went to estimate summary, summarizing everything that we have taken as pricing and laboring, adding them all together. And step number 7, overhead and profit. And overhead and profit, we're gonna add it right here. It's called the bid process. We did the overhead, guys, and we have the prime. We did an overhead, right? We added an overhead, and we have the prime cost or the break-even cost last week, if you remember. This week, Karen, my friend, we're going to add the profit in order to come up, they call it the bid process, which is basically taking the prime cost and spicing it with a little bit of profit in order to get you the selling price that you're going to sell the customers for. So this will talk about taking your break-even cost or prime cost, adding a couple of dollars on it or a percentage of a dollar, 10%, 5%, and making it your bid, making it your selling price. Also, we're going to talk, guys, about bid analysis. Then after you spice it with a little bit of dollars for your profit, you're going to do a bid analysis, analyze your bid, and at the end, you're going to come up with a proposal where your selling price is going to be embedded in this proposal, so you can send it to the customers, and the customers will be able to sign it and get you guys if you win the job, we'll get you the job. Any comments, guys, about the 9 steps of estimating? The 9 steps of estimating. You can talk to the people who work at work, guys. They might summarize it in 4 steps, 5 steps, but the process is really the same. You can summarize them in 4 or 5, but Mike will summarize them in 9 steps. That's good enough. So what I'm going to do, guys, in chapter 6, we're going to talk about the bid process. The bid process. And Jeff, feel free to interrupt me. You said yesterday you don't want anybody to interrupt you. Feel free to interrupt me, okay? I'm giving you the permission today. Did anybody ask you hard questions yesterday on Friday when you did your presentation?
Like 2 maybe.
Did you guys give him anybody had hard questions?
Nobody's in the class.
Okay.
Just me. I went like 15 minutes though, so
That's good.
there was a whole lot that I left uncovered.
Okay, so feel free, guys, to jump in. A lot of these, especially for, they're not going to be doing design right now, but for those of you who are doing estimating, Zach, my friend, and Jeff, and who is doing Andrew, who else is doing estimating, and Kerry, feel free to jump in and tell me your opinion. Everybody has an opinion. This is not science by any means. What it says, guys, after we have the prime cost, which is the break-even cost, now we need to spice it up and add a little bit of profit on it in order to prepare our winning bid. Okay, profits, so-called the dirty word, or not the dirty word. So profit, guys, when you do a business, when you have your break even means covered everything, your overhead, your labor, your gas for your vehicles, everything is covered with so-called the break even. After you break even, you're supposed to put a few percentages. It goes from 5 to 15% profit for the owners, the share owners of your company. That will go to a trip to Bahama, or it could be going back. They invested back into the company, guys, building another building or so forth. So that's your profit. The profit is above and beyond the overhead and every single expense that you guys have for your company. Any question, guys, about that one? So the profit is above and beyond the break even, above and beyond the break even. Okay, so that's what you're supposed to. And every business should have a little bit of profit. Otherwise, you're not going to stay in business that long. Um, so a winning bet, gentlemen, a reasonable amount of profit. You don't want a 50% profit, but 5 to 10% profit is not bad. So every one of them, how much profit is reasonable profit? Here's a couple of things, guys, they suggest, Michael suggests to keep in mind on. Who's competing against you and how's the economy? Is it a hot economy, cold economy like we are in right now? Is not the best economy. Management and organization skills. How is your company's management and organization skills? Does it suck or is it top notch? Can you manage your labor and material and overhead, guys, to a point where you can add more overhead to your break even? Job size, risk, and speed of payment. All these are factors, gentlemen, that will affect how much profit, Jeff, you're going to assign to this project. Is it 2%? Is it 3%? Is it 5%? Or any of the above? Any comments, guys? Any questions about these? Then he goes from analyze them a little bit. Each one of them is analysis. The economy, competing in the economy. It says consider the number of people who are bidding on a job. The higher the key, if you have more than 3 people bidding on the job, your chance of getting the job gets lower, of course. And so as a project manager, Jeff, you have to see if you can tell how many people are bidding on this job, number one, and what's their experience in this particular work. And based on how many people are bidding on it and their experience, if you know it, you can assign 5% or 10% profit to this project. Any comments, guys, about the competition and the economy? The competition and the economy. So that's what they're saying about that one. And the economy. When we're in the recession, guys, and there's high competitive market, obviously you can't ask for 10% of profit. If you can get your 3 to 5% of profit, you're good enough. So you're going to sell it for, you're going to watch the economy. If the economy is hot, like supply and demand, guys, your profit goes up. If the economy is down, your profit is going to go down with it. Cool? Does it make sense or not? So that's straightforward, no gimmicks on that. When the economy is stronger, obviously, and expanding, you are the supply and demand rule could get you more profit. So in an economy like we are right now in, guys, probably not the best economy. Like 7 years ago, it was very hot, where you can ask a lot of profits. And then in an economy like this, it might be 5% instead of 10% profit that you can include. Any comments, guys, about the effect of the economy and your competitors and your profit? More people competing against you, less profit you're going to assign to the project to get it, especially if they're competitive, if they're experienced. The hotter the economy, the stronger the economy, the more profit you can get. It makes sense, right? Common sense. Any comments, any questions? Any comments, any questions? So that's assigning your profit. Management and organization skills. We talked, guys, many times about management can make the difference between making money or losing money. We talked about managing the people through your foreman or managing your employees through your office. The better management skill and organization skill, Adam, my friend, you have, the better your company will have a chance of getting getting the job, and the more profit you can assign to the project. Why? Because when you said we're going to finish this job with 1,000 hours, guys, you can deliver with 1,000 hours or less. Any comments, guys, about the impact of management and organization skills onto your profit? The better organization skills you have, Jeff, and your company has the management skills, the more likelihood that your profit will be higher. Any comments, any questions? Any comments, any questions about that? Is it Monday, guys? Did I put you to sleep yet? Almost? Okay. So your price should be competitive. So you have to have a competitive price, guys, with a reasonable margin of profit. Job size. Here's what they say. Accepted prices is that smaller jobs are sold with a higher profit margin as compared to larger jobs. I don't know. That would be interesting to ask people who are doing larger jobs, but smaller jobs can get a higher, um, um, if especially if you have a niche, guys. If you have a niche and you have a smaller job, you can ask for a little bit higher profit. If it's a bigger job, you're guaranteed there will be national companies will be competing against you, national contractors. So the trend is smaller jobs can get you higher profit. Risk, if you're doing an unfamiliar job, guys, you're supposed to get a little bit more profit to cover any unexpected things that you have not covered in your project. And so because you're taking a risk, so you need a little bit more profit. With risk goes a little bit more profit. Any question, guys, about the impact of risk on profitability? Aaron, my friend, does it make sense? The more risk, the more profit you should assign, at least based on those gentlemen. um, Okay, so that's the profit. So these are the things, guys, that affect your profit. So let's talk about profit to the prime cost. This is one thing I want to emphasize, guys. Now you got your prime cost, Zach, my friend. The prime cost is going to be your dollars, your break-even dollars. Then you are supposed to assign a dollar value. Here's my break-even, which doesn't want to draw it here. When you have a break-even cost, guys, right in here, you need to assign a multiplier, a percentage, um, to get you the profit. There's something called profit to sale. That's your percentage of profit, guys. But when you apply it to the break even, it's different. I don't know if you ever paid attention to it. There's markup multiplier and profit sale. Long story, gentlemen, when you have a 10% profit on your overall sale of a project, that's more than 10% when you apply it to the break even, right? Because your break even is less. So without complicating it, please pay attention to they call it the markup multiplier versus the profit to sale value, or the percentage of profit. Percentage of profit is, say, 10%, Terry, 10% is your profit, but your markup, so-called markup multiplier, could be 11% because the markup applied to the break even. Then you get into the final sales cost, but the sales percentage, or the percentage of profit, is actually a percentage of the sales. I'll show you that when it's easier said than done. If you gentlemen look at this, I have my job sales price 250. Here's all my labor, my material, direct job cost. Here's my gross profit is 40%. That's my gross profit. When I add all the overhead out of it, my overhead is 30%. So my overhead right here is 30%, then my profit is really, in reality, is only 10%, because 40% before my overhead is supposed to be my gross profit. I took 30% of it as my overhead, which is I should. Then, long story short, my profit, real profit, is the 10%. But 10% of what? 10% of the sales of the project is 10%. Now, if you look at, guys, the markup is for the value, the break-even value. Can I get you to understand the percentage of the profit is applied to the overall sale number of that project. The markup is applied to the break-even value. And there are two different values, guys. I'll show you the multiplier. So in order to get 10% profit on the overall of this project, Darren, you have to apply 11.11% markup on the break-even cost. Did you guys hear me? So that's probably the most confusing one. Here's how they do it. Take this. If you want to have 10% sale, so let me pick on Andrew. Andrew, if your job is $1,000, the selling price of the project, the bid price is $1,000, and you want to make 10% on it, that will get you 10% of 1,000 is $100, right? You need to get $100 out of this $1,000 as a profit. Cool? That's percentage of sales price. In order to get this, you have to go to the break even and multiply it not by 10. You're going to multiply by the multiplier, which is 11.11%. Do you guys see how they're slightly different? Because they take into consideration the profit itself. So you apply this multiplier to the break even to get you the 10%. So if you need 10%, you multiply your break even by this. So what if I need, what's the highest? 24% profit on this project. 24% profit. If I need a 24% profit, I must multiply my break-even cost by 31.58. Can I get you guys to get me, Chad? We got that one because that's the most confusing one for the students in the past is the difference between the markup and the percentage of the profit. Here's the formula that they use, guys. If anybody's interested, how they come up with this statistical formula. So the percentage of sale, that's a percentage to the overall selling price of the project. That's your 10% profit. The markup is the value equivalent to it that you have to multiply the break even to get you the 10%. Jeff, does it make sense? The 10% versus the multiplier. So it's really straightforward. When you do your analysis, you're going to multiply it by this value, by these values. So so the project, when we put 10% of the sales project, some software, guys, some softwares allocate this immediately. When you put 10%, they adjust it. They adjust the 10 and apply it to the software, to the sales price immediately. Any question, guys, about the profit multiplier? So if I told you I need 5% profit, you're going to say, Chad, in order to get 5% profit, you have to multiply break even by 5.26. That's all. Okay, so that's probably the most important things. So here you go. So if you can, we want 10% profit on this value, right? 10% on the sale. Why is that working? 10%. Does it want to work today? It's Monday, huh? If you guys look at the, okay, there you go. If I need 10% on the sale, so 10% on 7,533 will get you $753, right? 10% of this. In order to get this value, you have to go to the break even carry and multiply it by 11.11%. So you multiply the 6,779.92 by 11.11%, get you this value, add them up, and get this value. That will get you a 10% profit in the overall sale. Any comments, gentlemen? Any questions? If there's anything confusing in the past, that was the markup versus the profit percentage. Confused a little bit. Okay, so that's basically it in terms of applying it. Other bid costs. So then you apply 10%, guys. In this case, for this one, we apply 10% profit. Then you're going to go ask yourself, are there any other bids, other things that you have to pay attention? Bid cost consideration. Other things that you have not allocated for, specification, plans, final time. So here's the things that you have to pay attention to, guys. After you get this dollar value, $7,500 to do this project, there, my friend, I need to other bid consideration. Do I have a completion penalty allowances that I have to attach to? Financial cost, liquidated damage allowances, retainage cost. All these costs will be added way at the end because they're related to the project, but they are not accounted for in the bid process. Any question, guys, about other consideration? If you have a retainage dollars, you might have to put a couple of dollars because there's $10,000 sitting for 1 year. You're going to lose money on them. So you might have to accommodate this. Again, gentlemen, as a project manager, these are the judgment that you have to make. Any comments, guys, about other bid consideration? We'll talk about the other bid consideration, completion penalty. A lot of companies, guys, if you do not complete within 6 months like you promised, they will penalize you. If you don't complete the project on time, you'll get penalized. Be sure to include the cost finance. If you borrow money to do this project, if you borrow your money to do this project, you must add some money for the interest that you're going to have on this project. For example, if you have to borrow $25,000, the interest is 10% for 1 year. $2,500 you have to pay the bank as an interest on the money that you borrowed to finance this project. So $2,500 must be allocated, Kerry, my friend, or fit back into your project. Any comments, any questions? Any comments, any questions? So you guys can see how I don't know if you can see right now. I know a lot of you guys are not project manager. It will take a long time for you probably to be a project manager, but you can see the connection between taking off, estimating, project management, and finance. Can you guys see the connection between financing in your company, people who are doing your finance, the estimators and the project managers? So there's a whole lot of connection between all these. Liquidated damage, cost per day. If Jeff, if you did not deliver my building on time, I'm going to cost you how much is going to cost the loss of my profit. If you promise me to finish in 1 year and it took another 2 months extra, so some owners will add how much money they could have made in these 3 months and charge you this money. So liquidated damage, they call it. Financial losses because you did not deliver the project on time. So you can see there's a lot of issues, guys, with that you have to keep in mind. Retainage cost. Retainage cost, gentlemen, if you have to leave 10% for 90 to 80 days, just in case your system did not work and they want to use that money to hire somebody else to fix it, right? So they retain some money to make sure that your system is going to work for at least 6 months, right? A lot of companies do that one. So you have to accommodate for this one, or some of them put it until the warranty, like a 1 year warranty. Here's an example, guys. You have a retainage cost of 10% for half a year on a $250,000 project. So if you do your math, if you take here's the cost, you take $250,000 times 10% times interest rate that you're going to pay is 12% on this money times 0.5 because it's 180 days, half a year. So then you are going to be, you have to have $1,500 you're going to add to the selling price. Any comments, guys? Any questions about allocating the retainage cost to your project? So Adam, if I have to leave 10% of my $250 with the customers for half a year, 180 days, half a year, and the interest on this money is 12%. So how much money do I need to allocate, add to the prime cost? You take the 250 multiplied by 10% because that's the 10%, multiplied by 12% because that's the interest 12%. Anybody knows where the 0.5 came to be? 0.5 because the interest is for a year. I'm only holding this money for 180 days, which is half a year, right? So you take the 0.5, do all this math, then to retain 10% of $250,000 at an interest of 12%, you have to allocate to your project $1,500. You have to allocate to your project $1,500. It will cost you out of pocket $1,500, guys, if you're borrowing the money. Any comments, guys? Any questions about allocating the retainage cost? The retainage cost? Any comments? Any questions? That's away from Revit and CAD and all this good stuff. It's a whole different animal, guys. But some of you will be a project manager. You're going to be dealing with retainage cost. I can't emphasize, Andrew, my friend, this book that we give to you guys is a very simple, straightforward introduction to project management and estimating. These are the job of the project manager. You have to be at least aware of it. If you're to become a good project manager, guys, you're going to go to more schooling and more training to handle other financial issues. Okay, so we did all this, added all the other costs, guys. Then bid accuracy. We're going to move into your bid accuracy. A couple of questions, Zach, you have to ask yourself about bid accuracy. Are we using standard grade devices or spec devices? These are the difference between them is very expensive. Twice the difference between a grade, a standard versus a spec type devices. Any calculation errors? Typically, if you have a software, guys, your calculation errors is garbage in, garbage out. When you inputted the data, you inputted wrong at the wrong scale or the wrong number. But typically, the math inside the software is reliable. Failure to review job site conditions. Remember, we have a list of job site conditions. The project will be constructed in Minnesota in January. You know, that will be cold. You have to heat the place. You might have to heat the place. So the productivity of the people is going to be low. Comply with specification or drawings. There's certain things in the specification drawing, guys, you might not pay attention to. That's going to screw you up. Forgotten major bid items. So these are the things that you have to, when you analyze your project, the things that you have to keep in mind. Forgotten outside or underground work, not transferring totals properly. Well, that's the job, that's estimating software. Omitting sections of the estimate. used improper estimating forms, use supplier takeoff quantities for quotes. Supplier takeoff quantities, you need to do your own takeoff quantities. Relying on verbal supplier quotes. They told you guys that your fixture is going to be $10,000. You stick $10,000, nothing written. And then when it comes to buying the equipment, it'll be $15,000. Again, all these guys, good. If you have a good supplier, they would never do that to you. If they give you their word, they will stand by their word. But to cover you, what do? You need to get it in writing, in an email or so. Not verifying that quotes match specs. Wrong scale on reduced size drawing, like we did, Jim. Wrong labor units, wrong material cost. If you guys remember with McCormick, there are multiple prices and multiple labors that you can assign to the project. So which labor unit am I going to be assigning? Labor 1, price 1, or labor 2, price 2? That's depend on where you are in the country and how expensive the labor and material. So that's, as a project manager, you have to be aware of what is the most expensive labor and the most expensive material, electrically speaking, in the country, if your project in different parts of the country, and assigning to it. Okay, so that's a question that you have to ask yourself. So before you submit your bid, you have to review it. A couple of things, guys, we talked about when talk about the bid analysis. Look at what they do. This is really a unique way of looking at it. They take the average branch circuit raceways per outlet. So really cool. Take all the outlets, lights and receptacles. So each one of these is an outlet. 1 outlet, 2 outlets, 3 outlets. The receptacles an outlet, like an opening. Add all the outlets in your building. Add all the conduits in your building. And divide the outlet by the conduits. Total footage of the branch circuit. No, you divide the branch circuit conduits or the branch circuit by the outlets. And we'll get you a multiplier. That's one way, guys, of keeping track of how much conduit and wire each outlet is going to cost me. So that's one indicator. Here's an example, Jeff. Here's my fluorescent fixture, recess fixture, exit light, switching outlet, receptacle outlet. These are all outlets. Add them up. 59. Remember, outlets, it doesn't matter if they are receptacle outlets or light outlets. Just add them as an outlet, right? An opening. Add them all up. Then here's your branch circuit that you have taken. 1/2 inch EMT, 212, 312, 1412, 512. All these are conduits. Now remember, we're taking only branch circuits. We don't care how much conductors inside them. And the length, all these branch circuits, guys, to feed all these equipments is $891. 891 feet. 891 feet of 1/2 inch EMT conduit to feed all these lights and receptacle and exit signs, right? Then you take the 891 feet, divide them by 59, get you 15.1. The smarter than Chad, the one who have done it over and over and over again, Jeff, they will look at this number as an indicator. Every project that we do, the branch circuit per outlet is going to be 20, and all of a sudden Andrew start taking off the project and he came up with 15. They're going to come back to you and say, Andrew, what have you done different to come up with a different branch circuit per outlet? Any comments, any questions? These are flags, guys. Branch circuits per outlet. Branch circuits per outlet. If you're using 3/4 inch, then you use 3/4 inch. So that's if you're using MC cable, you divide by MC cable. So that's kind of an indication what's the feet that will give you how many feet of branch circuits you need per outlet. An average, of course, an average. Any comments, any questions, guys? Now, they don't use it to estimate, Jeff. They use it as a flag. When a company, guys, will use it to flag certain things. Okay, here's one flag. Let's go to the other one. Average number of wires per raceway. Here's another flag they do. They do the average number of wires per raceway. They take the raceways and divide all the wires. Here's how they do it. Look at that. So they took all the EMT conduits, guys, all your EMT conduits here. Here's my length of EMT conduit, 891. Run per outlet 15. Number 12 conductor is 2,393. So they take the number of the conductors divided by the feet of the conductors divided by the feet of the conduits. Feet of conductors divided by the feet of the conduit. How many wires how many feet of wires do you have in this for this project divided by how many feet of EMT conduit that you have, and that will give you an indication 2.69. That will be the average per EMT foot. Every EMT conduit, foot of EMT conduit will get you 2.69 feet of wire. Long story short, guys, this is supposed to get you a flag. And here's the flag if it's different than certain values. That will be a flag. Again, you're checking, you're flagging your project before you send it. Any comments, guys? Any questions about these flags? These flags? Percentage distribution cell. This is very easy. They take the percentage. They give you what's the percentage of labor from the overall cost, your direct job cost, overhead, profit, sales, all these percentage-wise, and compare them with a data. So, Zach, my friend, if you look at your labor cost is 17% for this project. Every project that you guys do, it's 10%, and this project is 17%. What have you done different? Did you hire illegal immigrants to do that, or what? So that's we're 17%. Labor burden, material cost is 50%, guys. Why is it 50% when every hospital we have done is 40%? These are flags for your boss to look at. Look at the other one, estimated prime cost, the percentage, overhead is 17, break even, of course, 90%. We have profit sales, 10%. It will add up to 100%. So these are the percentages that your project, whoever is reviewing your project, Darren, my friend, and Aaron, is going to be looking at these percentages. Are they within the acceptable values for this particular project or not? Any comments, guys? Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? The other one they do is cost per square foot. They take the cost as 2,500. You guys did it with your friend Chad. 2,500 square foot divided by the overall cost of the project. Give me $3. $3 per foot for every house that we have done. And Aaron started taking off the project, and he came up with 1%, $1 per square foot. That's a flag. Do you guys see why they use them? You use them as a flag to flag, is the project on track? Should I trust this judgment, or should I go review it? Okay, cost per labor hour. Look at this. They take your overall cost, Jamie, my friend, divided by how many hours this project is going to take, $68 per hour that you're paying for the people from overall cost, material labor. So that could be also a flag. Every time your company guys bid $100 and now you're coming with 68. So all these are flags. And the last thing, guys, is labor days, 2 men, 2 people, 8 hours. This is how long will it take you. Labor days, 2 men per 8 hours. How many days to finish this project? Every project, guys, you have done, it will cost longer days than 6. So can I get you guys to give me a thumbs up, Chad? We fully understand these are flags that we use to flag our bid price before we send it to the proposal. Cool? Any comments about these? Common sense, guys. When you become a project manager, these are the ones that are going to be tracking. Any comments, any questions? Aaron, my friend, makes sense? All these percentages. Now, for you guys, it means nothing. But for somebody who have done 3, 4, 5 hospitals in the last 5 years, and when they look at these data, somebody like Dave Karski, and they do look at all these projects that they have done before, that's a major flag that's going to be flagging your takeoff. Okay, so that's bid analysis. Cost per square foot, we talked about cost per square foot, guys. We said use the cost per square foot, not as an estimating method, but as a flag or checking the accuracy. Here's the cost per square foot. You take 2,500 square foot divided by the price of, or divide the $7,500 by 2,500. That will get you a dollar per square foot of 3. That could be a major indicator. Have you done good, bad, or ugly? Jamie, it's not that you've done something wrong. It's just if you are different than the norm for this particular project, when the project manager guys sit around the table before they submit the major $2 or $3 million project, they said review it. These are the ones that the flags. Why is it more labor or more dollar per square foot than any other project that we did? And you just have to have a justification. Maybe the price went up. You know what I mean? We're doing it in a different city, and so forth. So that's the major thing that you have to do. Cost per square foot. Again, it's analysis, not to validate the estimate, not to do the estimate. Cost per labor. We talked about this one, guys, too, is you take all your selling price divided by how many hours, man hours or woman hours you need, and it gets you the dollar value per labor, average dollar value per labor. Well, gentlemen, that will be also an indication as have you lost, have you accounted for every labor to every component in your project? Okay, labor days. Labor days, guys. So what they do is they take, like we said, we take the labor hours and divided by how many days, the labor hours divided by how many hours of man or woman hours you're going to work, and you come up with a value. You come up with a value, and that will tell you how many days you need to finish this project. Any comments, any question, guys, about all these analysis? All these analysis were given to you guys in an Excel sheet. You're going to see them there, in my friend, in the software that I'm going to give you, McCormick software. They're already there. What this book is doing in this chapter, guys, analyzing it a little bit. Okay. Experience. So the other thing, guys, if with experience, obviously, you start having a lot of other multipliers and flags that you can flag your bid analysis before, or your ceiling bid before you go. Again, it takes experience. Okay, after we analyze the bid, Andrew, my friend, we need to shoot that bid all the way to where? To the proposal. Now we need to take our bid to the proposal. Any comments, guys? Any questions? So you take your prime cost, break-even cost, add the profit to it. That will be your selling price. After you add a couple of extra things, unanticipated costs, becoming your selling price. You analyze the selling price before you send it to the owner. After you feel confident of that value, this is what we're going to go for, after we added everything, then you need to stick that number in something called bid proposal that you guys have done with your friend Chad in the residential project, and you will be doing it in the commercial project on Thursday. And that will be your legally binding document that when you sign it and the owner sign it, that will be the legal contract between you and the owner. Any comments, guys, about sticking your selling price into a piece of paper with a couple of adjectives and a couple of sentences to describe what you need to do, what you're obligating yourself to do and not to do, and the payment schedules and so forth? Any comments, any questions? So submit written proposal, clarify what the bid include and not include. Here's a couple of things that you have to pay attention, guys. When you have plans and specification, your proposal should say the proposal is based on plans and specification. So not indicated on anything that's not indicated on the plans or the specification must be a change order by agreement. And not part of this agreement. So unless anything on the plans and specifications, easy. Included. Any changes from plans and specification have to be a change order. Okay, then you get change orders. Deviation or alteration from the scope agreement. Anything you want me to do that was not on the spec, guys, and the drawings or the specification, it's called change order and need to be written, shall be executed or on receipt of written orders. So we have to submit a change order to you. Say you guys have created a change order. We submit it to you, you sign it. We'll tell you how much it's going to cost you to do this, either time and material or lump sum value. We submit it to you, you sign it, approve it, we start doing the work. Any comments, guys, about change orders? Any comments, any questions? You walk into a building, guys, doing electrical work. Jeff, you said a couple of examples about that, and the owner wants you agree on one thing, and the owner wants you to do 10 other things. That's called change order. If you want to deviate from what I gave you a bid for, you must, we can do it, no problem. We're electrical contractors. But we have, in a bigger project, guys, they have to have it written. You have to have it written. So that's your change order. And they say individuals authorized to sign and approve change orders include names of the people who are authorized to do the change order from both parties, you and the owner. Design errors. If you have a design error, you guys like to make fun of engineers, a few of you here. If the engineer screwed up with the design and you need to redesign it and send it back to the engineer, that's also a change order and has to follow the change order command. So you have to redesign it, send it to the engineer, approve it. But before you do that and you redo the project, you have to set it as a change order because somebody has to do this work, redesign and reinstall it. It might cost you more to redesign the project and reinstall it. Equipment supplied by others. Electrical contractor shall not be responsible for installation, damage, theft, vandalism, storage, or warranty of equipment supplied by others. You have a data center, guys, UPS system supplied by others sitting right there. You said it there as electrical contractor. You did not supply it. The owner supplied it. The second day was stolen. So these are the things that you have to include in your proposal. The things that anything supplied by others, we're not responsible for any damage or installation or anything unless it's part of our proposal. Installation practices. This is just covering if you guys if you bid a job and a commercial job and everything you're doing in EMT. They didn't say the wiring method. You're doing the common practice for commercial project as EMT and MC cable. Now you walk into somebody, let's you pick on Wisconsin, and the guys in Wisconsin want you to use rigid. Well, this is not common practice in the commercial. So that's how you cover this. Material and equipment supplied by electrical contractors shall be installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code or Local Electrical Building Code and the standard electrical practices. The standard electrical practices. So that will cover a few things. Somebody will force you to use rigid above that one. I mean, that's expensive to put rigid. Well, that's why I want my branch circuit rigid. Unless it's specified it's rigid, the standard and electrical practice does not say rigid above suspended ceiling. Installation practices, not codified. Anything that's not codified part of the code as of the date proposal are excluded from this quotation. Guys, 2014 is coming. NEC code 2014. There are changes in 2014. By the time you put your bid and you start your permit, that's when you adhere to the code at that moment. The time you get your bid, your permit to start the work. Anything after that, you're not liable for because it could be a whole lot of changes that will add a lot of dollars to your bottom line or to your bid. Okay, payment and terms. This will list how do you want to be paid, gentlemen, for the amount of dollars. How are you going to be paid? And if there's past due payment, the contractor will not do the work, stop working until you pay me on time. So you have a schedule of payment. So that will flow, cash flow, guys. That will affect your cash flow for your company. So you need to make sure that you're paid on time based on a scheduled paid agreement. And if they don't pay on time, you have the right to stop working on their project, basically halt the project. Okay, performance. Electrical contractor will not work. This is after 5 p.m. or weekends unless authorized but in writing by the owner contractor via signed change order. Do you know, guys, we don't want you to work weekends and after 5 p.m. You have to pay double time for people to work on more time to work for people on weekends or after 5 p.m. So who's going to eat this? So if the owner wants you to finish this one after 5 p.m., great, change order. And then with the change order comes extra cash to accommodate for the extra labor or extra dollars they have to pay to the labor in a weekend or after 5. Permit, who's going to be doing the permit? You're going to see either the cost of the permit to your project or the owner is going to do the permit, the electrical permit. Repairs, electrical contractor shall not be responsible for any associated with repair of concrete. So if you made concrete, holes in the concrete, dry walls, are you going to be doing that one or somebody else would? The practice, guys, if you make a hole, you have to patch the hole with the equivalent material for it. A lot of contractor guys, when they mess with the roof, they have association with the roof or the roofers because of insurance. And they contact the roofers every time you make a hole in the roof, a commercial building roof, guys. And with this agreement, they come and they patch that hole in the proper way. So in order to maintain the insurance or the reliability of the roof, a commercial roof, you almost always have to involve the roofers when you penetrate through the roof. But you have to specify who's going to be repairing all these holes they're going to be making, you or somebody else. Temporary power, are you providing the temporary power or somebody else? If not, you have to say it's not our responsibility to provide. Just because we're electrical, we're not going to provide, doesn't mean that we're going to provide the electrical work. Termination of agreements, when you put a bid proposal, guys, you have to cap it with a time. You can't have it open-ended. Typically 6 months. Here they're suggesting a year. 6 months from this date, from the signing date. This will be 360 days from the date of signing of this agreement by the owner contractor and electrical contractor. This segment shall be remain. Um, okay, warranty. You have typically you warranty the manufacturer will warranty the equipment for 1 year or more, guys. You warranty your work for 1 year at least. Um, no, you don't warranty the equipment. The manufacturer will give you warranty for the equipment. You warranty your work. So if a branch circuit stopped working within 1 year, you send your electricians to troubleshoot and maintain it. Shall be for a period of 1 year from the date of final invoice. From the date of final invoice. Hand the key to the owner. You got your money, right? Now you start, you put your date. No warranty will be provided, shall be others. So this is just including the a UPS system, guys, is there and malfunction and burn. It's not my I don't warranty the UPS. The UPS manufacturer will warranty the equipment. You warranty the construction, installation. Waste. This will specify the electrical contractor shall the electrical contractor supplied waste shall be removed to a specific area on the construction site instructed by the owner of that contractor. These are the things. Are you going to be hauling your own waste, or is the general contractor guys going to be having a place where all the disciplines, all the trades are going to be hauling their toxic and non-toxic, or hazardous and non-hazardous waste to one location? So you have to be aware of that one. So that's basically it in terms of the bid proposal. Any comments, guys? Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? To summarize, my friends, to summarize, for those of you who are going to be a project manager, guys, you're going to do, after you do the break-even cost, you're going to spice it up with 10%, say 5 to 10% for profit, and then you're going to add it up. Then that will be your so-called selling price. When you get your selling price, my friend, you need to analyze it before you send it to the owner. So you get into bid analysis, and there's a few things you have to do. And after you do that, you're going to stick that number in a bid proposal that clearly specify what you are responsible for and also what you are not responsible for. And clearly specify that anything that deviates from the specs and specifications and drawing, guys, must be a change order signed by the electrical contractor and the owner. With the change order comes what? Compensation. Any comments? Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? With this chapter, dear my friend, we will wrap basically the bid process, guys, from the takeoff all the way to the bid proposal. So the whole estimating, they call it the estimating bidding process, from the understanding the scope of work through the takeoff, through the laboring and pricing and totaling and bid summary, and also break even with overhead and profit, all the way the bid analysis down to the bottom line, bid proposal. The next two chapters, guys, in this book, we'll talk about the unit price and using a software for estimating. A unit price and using a software. But chapter 1 through chapter 6, Andrew, in this book, they're really the bread and the butter of the estimating / project management for an entry-level person. Any comments, any questions? Like I said, guys, we taught these for smaller contractors who would like to get into the estimating business as an entry level. I always tell them, if you're looking for an advanced estimating project management, Darren, where are you going to go? Somewhere else. This is to get you into track for estimating project management. And that's what the intention of this class. Not to make you an expert. To make you an expert, you have to go to more training in certain particular area. Any comments, any questions? Okay, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you.